It's Wednesday, June 21st, here in the studio for a very special episode of Mostly Superheroes, breaking away from the normal format for an interview with local legend Kevin Lemp from Hands Brewing Co. That's right, here to talk about a collaboration for all you nerds that tune in, Voltron. That's right, this is the Voltron episode, and beer, come on, dreams are coming true. Another jam-packed episode of Mostly Superheroes coming at you right now. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to Mostly Superheroes. That's right, we're doing it again, and we got a real special one for you today. Beer enthusiasts, Voltron enthusiasts, 80s babies, and new age Voltron fans, because that's also a thing nowadays. We have a very special interview today. Local legend, I wasn't kidding. I've known about this guy for 12 years. In the business, making strides in the greater St. Louis area, all around the state. And he is the CEO of Hands Brewing Co. 1220 Artisan Spirits. Is it 1220 or 1220?
1220.
1220 Withered Oak Spirits. And we're going to get into all the fun stuff this guy has going on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the studio, Mr. Kevin Lemp.
Thanks for having me. This place is great. Love it.
Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Doing all right? You comfortable?
Feel good.
First time in the studio. We got you settled in. Yeah, you like the space?
I love it.
Yeah. It's super nerdy.
I love it, man. It's great.
The beers you brought are gonna fit right in. I was joking before. I mean, you were on your press tour. Like, you got stuff going on. You got to feel kind of a little bit rock and roll. I'm feeling rock and roll for sure right now. We got you in here. You've been on all sorts of news outlets out there, some things that I've checked out as of recently. You've been on the St. Louis Bucket List Show. You were on Say That to Say This, another podcast, Anti. You were on that podcast. KMOV is plugging you guys with the local collaboration. You're always talking to Feast Magazine, Sauce Magazine, St. Louis Magazine. And I actually also listened to the full interview, you might remember, from 2018 that you did with the Brews Traveler.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Alan, I think.
Yeah.
Came down, did a little road trip, and you and Martin were sitting down and telling your story about Hands Brewing Company, and that is what I want to start off with today, if that sounds good. I have a little segment I'm calling Catch Up with Kevin.
Great.
All right, so let's kind of talk about like my personal connection to you and to what you do most is Hands. So I want to start with this. 2011, you open up Hands Brewing Company. You know, I have a little bit of your history. Like I said, I've been listening to the podcast you've been featured on. I know that you spent many years, I think about 10 years before you opened the brewery with Gallo Winery.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and you were doing the full portfolio there. Everything from Bartles and James to 300 bottles of wine. Why don't you talk briefly about your time at Gallo Winery leading into the opening of Hands?
Yeah, I mean, without Gallo Winery, we wouldn't be the organization that we are today. I mean, I learned everything about the industry, about the category, about like just proper management and wholesaler and just like really kind of like good strategy route to business through Gallo.
Mm-hmm.
Gallo is really the equivalent of Anheuser-Busch in the wine world. They're the largest family-owned winery in the world, largest landowner in California. You walk up and down the supermarket wine aisle, and they probably have about a 30 share. You just don't know. But they're great. And it was the hardest decision I've ever had to make.
Sure.
I absolutely loved it there. I was
probably
thriving there. I was hitting my stride 100%. But I wanted to follow my passion, right? Like, I'm very passionate about life. I'm very aware that we're only here not that long. And I want to try and have every day be my best day. And I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I fell in love with craft beer in college. And I joke that flannel's more my wardrobe than suit and tie. And then also, you know, as you're looking at trends, especially in 2009, 2010, with just this explosive boom of small batch beer, massive impact on the coast, eventually it was going to be trickling into the middle of the country, and I think that we timed it right. And I'm having a ton of fun. And we just have such a dynamic team, super inspired, highly passionate, very supportive. And that's really what drives the success of the brewery. We opened up Hands Brewing Company in 2011. In that location that you're showing right now, we opened up with 20,000 square feet. We have just recently acquired the entire building, so we're going from 20,000 square feet to closer to 50,000 square feet. Kind of a big internal expansion going on. We love what we do. We're outside the box. Inside the box is compliance and, all of that kind of stuff. When we're looking at branding and kind of route to market and narrative, we really love to live outside of that box and be whimsical and creative and nostalgic and fun, and while always serious, a little bit silly.
Yeah, and still always creating. It seems like something new.
Yeah, I think that's a product of a bunch of us having ADD.
Yeah.
And, just like challenging ourselves to be creative. And, we don't ever want to be on our heels, right? We always want to be looking at opportunities and trying to find something delicious to fill that opportunity and continue to build a brand and now a family of brands.
Well, I got to tell you, Hands, like I mentioned, my personal connection to you for sure. I think I moved to the city right about 2012, and I remember thinking like, oh man, I heard about Hands. We were actually talking about it at my my job at the time, and we were trying to think about what the name of your business was. It was like, oh, this new brewery just opened, and a friend of mine actually pulled out a napkin and from memory drew your logo. Which
that's not easy to draw.
Oh, and he didn't do a great job, Joe. I'll call you out. He did the best he could, but you could see him trying to make the hands. And for our folks that are watching online, you can see the logo. It is these hands that make up, I guess, a hop.
A hop,
right? And I learned that this is actually these are your family's hands.
Yeah,
is that right?
Our last name's Lemp.
Right.
No relation to the old Lemp Brewing dynasty.
We're talking to the locals now, right?
Right.
A little bit. We got a worldwide audience. We could talk to everybody, but this is a St. Louis thing. The Lemp family everyone knows them.
Prior to Prohibition, largest brewery in the country.
Right.
And their original location sits probably about 3 miles from our brewery. And so no relation to that old brewery dynasty. I wanted to have some way of kind of bringing my family into it, so we called it Hands. That represents me, my wife Megan, our son Rowan, and our son Fisher. And then everybody says, well, that's 8 hands. And I say, no, 1 in, go team.
Go team, yeah. And then I also like it because, especially as like an entrepreneur, you got your hand on something else usually too.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. You're always. You got another project on the back. And I heard in the I think it was probably the Brews Traveler podcast. You talked about that first moment of being in this building with your family and all that blank open space and like seeing what it could be. Now here we are in 2023, about to do an expansion. Settle this for me. I think you guys probably consider yourselves LaSalle Park.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, you talk about LaSalle Park. Doesn't mean anything to someone traveling to St. Louis, but I'll tell you guys, the location is prime. And I love that you're putting more into the investment of this location, because I always thought of it as Soulard downtown. It's almost like you're like this middle ground area between Busch Stadium and the farmers market. You talk about the location. It's great.
LaSalle Park,
what's that mean to you to be able to stay there and make it bigger?
We love the neighborhood. It's this hidden little gem in the city with beautiful architecture. And we love it. We're hyper passionate about our neighborhood. We have an unbelievable relationship with our neighbors. They've been very supportive of us. And we're excited about the growth expansion. It's funny that you mentioned, like walking in this building, 12, 13 years ago with my then 3-year-old and 1-year-old with Megan, and, Rowan's out there with a little skateboard. He's got 10,000 square feet of open space, 12,000 square feet of open space on the first floor. Now that's all jam-packed with tanks. What's even more interesting is Rowan's there today working.
Oh, my gosh.
He's going to be a junior in high school.
Oh, my gosh.
And,
what's he doing? What's he doing?
Today he's washing kegs.
Yes.
Yesterday he was folding boxes.
It's the family biz.
And it's his summer. Last summer he started there. And he's going to do it again this summer. And every year we're going to try and give him a little bit of a different taste and feel of what we do. But also with no expectation that he wants to go in and do this. I want him to be hyper passionate about his calling and what his path is going to look like. And I tell him often, like, don't do what I do. I'm hyper passionate about what I do.
Yep.
Your mom's hyper passionate about what she does. You find what you're going to be hyper passionate with. And then you follow that journey.
Yeah, but great to have you as a role model to see how to run a business, manage a team, how to treat people. You get that experience sometimes, even if it's not your ultimate passion, but knowing that he has, it's up to him at the end of the day. Don't feel that pressure of like, you're not going to have to become junior brewer. Don't worry. It's up to you. All right, so that's Four Hands. We're going to definitely be talking more about Four Hands today with the collaboration with Voltron. We'll get into it. But talking about different tastes, you've also opened 1220 Spirits.
1220 Spirits. So 1220 is the address of our building.
Right.
We built a portfolio 5 years ago. Started with gin, botanically inspired portfolio. That's all of 1220 Spirits. And we felt like there was a lot of opportunities going from small batch beer to small batch spirits, and really leaning on gin as, you need juniper for gin. And then you've got this beautiful canvas that you can work with. And so we're pretty heavy in gin. We have 2 year-round Origin, which is a new American gin, and then Morpho, which is inspired by the aviation cocktail. Has lavender, violet, lots of citrus, butterfly pea flower, so you lower the pH. It goes from a blue to really pretty purple. And then we do a bunch of collaborative gins. We also have a Maro aperitif, and then a robust line of canned cocktails, which are doing really well in the market for us.
I would say, I've been a little bit on this journey with you over the years. I remember what the gin production, and then the dream of putting this all in a can to make these custom drinks. It's going well. People are receiving these well. In the summertime, just looking at it, the brand is beautiful. I know for Four Hands, you work a lot with Josh Rowan, artist. Is he helping you out here? You guys going working with some local folks on the 1220 Spirits? Is it a collaboration? What's the creative process of these cans look like? Because they're beautiful.
Yeah, so this is all Josh Rowan and Lauren Shirk. Yeah, so both in-house.
Shout out.
And they crush it.
You also are in whiskey?
Withered Oak. Yeah, so Withered Oak is about 1.5 years old now. So we're working with MGP on this, and we're super transparent about that. We're not distilling this rye and bourbon. We're purchasing this rye and bourbon from MGP. They are the foremost experts within that class and category. Actually, the majority of the big names that you see on the shelf work with MGP. So we buy at year 1, we age to year 5, 6, 7. We bring it back in-house, and then we put our finishing touch on it, where the year-round SKU, we're aging a 5-year rye in a blend of port barrels and rum barrels.
Wow.
Blending those together to create our year-round SKU. And then we have some seasonal SKUs. Right now, we just had 2 orange bitter barrels land. So we'll take that base 5-year rye, age it secondarily in those orange bitter barrels for an extra 6 months, filter, package. So we're just looking at building a brand in buckets.
Right.
We have Four Hands Brewing Company, 11, 12 years old, 1220 Spirits, Withered Oak. Within Four Hands Brewing Company, we also have a line of hard seltzer. And so we look at ourselves now as a premium supplier of beverage.
Sure.
As our horse, and really the majority of that passion being Four Hands Brewing Company. But we think it's important as we're building something to last, to make sure that we have equity in different buckets. So as one category is declining, maybe another one is increasing, and we're in that bucket that's increasing.
Sure.
And I feel pretty passionate about that. And I think I learned that without learning it from Gallo.
Yeah.
Right? That was not my original intention. My business plan did not have this in it. But when you open up and then you have 1,400 breweries, and you fast forward a decade and you've got 9,500 breweries, it just gets a little bit more difficult. And we took the strategy to really just be deep in our home market. We've been successful at that. And now we're looking to do that with a couple other brands in a portfolio.
Yeah, the way that, kudos to you on the strategy, diversifying the portfolio, right? Nothing new, but whenever you're making beer, that's what I always remember. Chocolate milk stout.
Yeah.
All your beers are jumping out to me. It's how I got to know you. And I'm a beer person, but learning through you, I could maybe get into a gin drink or a whiskey to try something different. At the same time, though, you're going to have your whiskey drinkers. You're going to have your cocktail enthusiasts. So, following the trends, hitting different places, starting at home. St. Louis, Missouri seems like where you guys have really thrived, and now you're growing.
Yeah, we've got a big growth strategy for this year and next year, mainly with spirits, but we just opened up 3 new markets with beer as well. These projects also give our team another creative outlet,
yes,
which is really important.
Yeah,
right?
So things don't get stagnant.
You don't get stagnant.
Yep.
and you're learning,
Yeah,
right? And you're experiencing.
And everything becomes a little seasonal, right? Things have some seasonal cadences to it. Oh, we're making gin at this point. The floral stuff comes in. Oh, whiskey, we got this timing. So you can maybe plan out your calendar. It's a little more fun, but you're also filling gaps as you go.
That's right.
Right?
Yep, that's right.
All right, man, talk about, yeah, if you guys are thinking at home, man, Kevin's busy. He is. He's got all sorts of stuff going on. You're known around town, and you're about to be known even more in some prominent areas in St. Louis. Why don't you talk to us? I'm going to nerd out a little bit myself right now about your collaborations with Peacemaker, also in the Soulard area.
Yep.
You guys have a great relationship with them. I believe you've served their food before, right? You have a menu, like you've operated with Peacemaker inside the walls of Four Hands, I believe. And now you have a location that's coming up in the Kirkwood area here in the St. Louis area. I got this from Sauce Magazine, Adam Rothbarth over there. Why don't you talk to us about this new Kirkwood location?
Yeah, so Kirkwood's been in the planning for a while. This project's taken longer than any of us expected, but it's a big project. There's a lot of heavy lifting. We've had to do a tremendous amount of due diligence in order to make it happen. Kevin Nashin does run a kitchen inside the main brewery downtown.
Right.
Our current only location.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're partnering with Kevin in Kirkwood. It's going to be super exciting. We're pumped about it. Love the location right off Argonne in downtown Kirkwood. It's got a massive backyard that expands to the train tracks. We'll have an inside area, outdoor bar, indoor bar, super family friendly. And we'll be kind of releasing some more details on opening in the next probably month. But we should begin construction here in the next couple weeks.
It's hard not to just get so selfish on this personally right now, because it seems like you've always been right where I am. I was in Soulard in 2012. Now I'm in Shrewsbury in 2023, and it seems like you're like, hey, Logan, did you need a place right around the corner?
I'm looking out for you, brother.
I appreciate it. And then you got another project. I don't know how in the world this is possible, but you got a third construction project, a 10,000 square foot tap room coming to Chesterfield area in the district. Talk about this one.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be open in August.
Wow.
We're pushing hard on this right now in partnership with the team at High Point. So we like to stay in our lane, right? Our lane is beverage.
Yep. Bring in the specialist on the food.
And we want to bring in a trusted partner that can execute food really well.
And High Point has proven that over and over.
They do great,
mm-hmm.
right? They crush it. And I love how whimsical and fun they are.
Yeah.
It really melds well with our brand. And this is, again, going to be a super family-friendly location in the district in Chesterfield. 10,000 square feet, it's big. We have a massive bar. I mean, I think the bar alone is going to seat 100 people. And we're excited about it. Have a family-friendly arcade. We're gonna have a lot of big TVs in there to watch the games. Right outside of this location is a space that the Steinberg Group is calling the Hub, which is it has a huge stage, massive TV, outside gathering spot where all the restaurants and ourselves are going to be able to kind of just hang out and get some sun. We're super excited about this one. And we're kind of looking at it as a bookend strategy. You've got downtown, you've got Chesterfield as the bookends, you've got Chesterfield in the middle, and it gives us an opportunity to continue to build our brand.
Well, and it sounds like with all these locations, I'm very familiar with your events, and now you have even more places to do them. Why don't we start with, actually, we can come back to these two. Let's start with Lupulin Festival. Yeah. Talk to us about Lupulin. Again, personal tie. I know this event. I remember the first one I went to was at your LaSalle Park location, and I think it must have been 2000 maybe. When was the first one that you guys did? Like it maybe 13, 14, 15?
2013.
13?
Yeah, or maybe 2012.
I remember.
I mean, the first one was inside.
Okay.
Inside
this
the
one
brewery,
was outside, had the big top outside.
In the back of the brewery. We probably had 250, 300 people there. Aerial acrobats. I mean, this is our beer festival.
Okay.
The big one that we do, and it's a carnival-inspired beer fest. So stilt walkers, flamethrowers, aerial acrobats. I mean, just a ton of fun. Again, kind of whimsical and creative and outside of the box.
Yes,
and
that's what I remember
live.
From that first one. And this one was outside, so it must have been a year or two after. It had the big top outside. I think you had a Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
Almost had a Ferris wheel, and knife throwing.
Yeah.
The acrobats. I mean, I remember people with like saws on like metal that they were wearing on their body, causing sparks, and thinking to myself, my God, what is this? This is in St. Louis. How amazing. Applaud you on this. And you guys just did your Lupulin 2023 this past May.
So we took a break from Lupulin this year.
Okay.
So we've been at our facility We went to Union Station. We were at the Big Top. And now that we've acquired our building, we took a pause this year because we want to bring it back home.
Yeah.
But we need to get everything set up properly to make sure that it's efficient.
Sure.
So that's where we did Summerfest. We did Summerfest to kind of make up for not doing Lupulin this year.
Yeah, talk about Summerfest. You just had it, 3-4 days ago?
Yeah, over the weekend. Beautiful weather, great turnout. Voltron was there.
Okay, Voltron was present. You had the cutout, or was it?
No, it was just probably a 15-foot
the statue
erected statue.
I saw this on social media,
and it was awesome.
Oh hell yeah!
So that's what Voltron greeted you as you were entering the fest.
Voltron's part of like everything right now, and especially for the next couple years.
Yeah.
Oh man, so excited. We're like getting right to it. All right, Summerfest, that's going well. Then I was gonna have you plug at least your collaboration that you've created with the city with Citywide. Can you talk about that, and then what led into statewide?
Yeah, Citywide's the most important brand that we produce. It's the most meaningful, and it has the biggest impact. And all of that means a great deal to us. We are hyper passionate about our city. We are hyper passionate about St. Louis. And we wanted to make our mark, and Citywide is our mark. So Citywide is a philanthropic brand. For every case we sell, we donate $1 to a nonprofit. Every year we work with 4 nonprofits. We've given back over $300,000 to St. Louis-based nonprofits through your help in your purchase of Citywide.
I'll give it up for that.
And we're excited that one day that's going to be $1 million. We're not stopping, and we're super excited about it, and we just love it. It gives us goosebumps when we talk about it.
Yeah. Well, from the beer drinker standpoint, it's a good beer.
It's a great beer.
Really great beer that, I mean, continuously, both me and Carrie come back to it all the time when we see it. Citywide.
Yeah, we love it. And yeah, I mean, it's the number 1 craft SKU in St. Louis. So it's the number 1 selling craft SKU in St. Louis. It's the number 1 pale ale. And we think that people really love the liquid, and we think that people really love the partnerships that we're building through it also. It's extremely important to us, and we feel really lucky that we're in a position to be able to give $300,000 back to St. Louis City-based nonprofits.
Sure. I mean, this is America, right? Like, we want to have successful business. We want to see our dreams come true. We want to take care of our families and our own and our city. This is the you taking care of the city and trying to help give back and contribute. Really commendable. And tell us what's going on with Statewide. This is new to me. I had the beer for the first time at I actually had it at the Gramophone last week. It's delicious.
Love the Gramophone.
They're great. They're friends of the show, sponsoring our event we got coming up Saturday. And they had Statewide. I've drank it. It's delicious. Tell us about this mission.
Yeah, so we wanted to take our Citywide mission and give it a bigger platform. Go statewide with it. Mm-hmm. And so we created Statewide. It's a hazy pale ale. Different hops than Citywide. You could put Citywide right next to Statewide and they taste completely different.
Agreed.
Different yeast strain on Statewide. It's a little bit hazy, but the same ethos. We have partnered with Veterans Community Project. They're based in Kansas City. They are in the process of building their St. Louis campus right now. Their goal is to get veterans off the street.
Wow, nice.
And what you see in the community is one thing. When you learn about the resources that they have in the back end, it gives you chills. They are unbelievably passionate. They're unbelievably kind, and we feel honored to be working with them. So through Statewide, we're raising $50,000 to build a house on their St. Louis campus.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll give it up for that too. Very commendable. Love these programs. I mean, how do you come up with this idea?
I mean, Citywide actually was inspired on a drive home coming from a Chicago market visit to St. Louis with Nick Cantor, our sales manager, and just trying to figure out, we talk about being more than beer. And how do we really become more than beer? Mm-hmm. How do we become a pillar of our society? And that's really where Citywide was sparked. And, if you look at where Citywide started and where we ended with Citywide and just kind of those whiteboard exercises and the artistic renderings, it was the most thoughtful, planned out execution that we've had on any brand. And it took about 6 months. And we're thrilled with the way it's turned out.
Nice. And shout out for sure to the, I think we talked about it in the patron pre-show. Shout out the artists. We got
Josh Rowan and Lauren Shirk.
I mean, they're doing all your work.
They're the best.
I mean, when it comes to brands we talked about today, the beer collaborations, the spirits.
We work with Jason Spencer also.
Okay.
Killer Napkins.
Great.
And then on 1220 for Origin and Morpho and some of those brands, we've worked with Toki.
Oh,
who's also local.
Yeah.
So
excellent.
We try and keep our dollars here.
Awesome, man. That's Catching Up with Kevin. So much going on, and we're ready to talk now. You know, we call it the meat on this show, Kevin, and I hope you're ready to really get into Voltron. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
I mean, you've been in Voltron, but it's time to get back into it. This is our Voltron episode. Let's get into the meat right now.
The meat.
From days of long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend. The legend of Voltron.
That's a throwback. How about tapping into your inner child and giving you a little taste of nostalgia? That's what one local brewer is doing with its new concoction.
And Steve Harris has the heroic blast from the past, being loved by good and feared by evil.
From days of long ago.
This is how I spent most Saturday mornings in the early 80s, on the floor in front of the TV, bowl of Captain Crunch in hand, with crunch berries, of course, watching cartoons. One of my favorites was Voltron, Defender of the Universe. That cool robot voice still gives me goosebumps. Now, you may not know it, but Voltron was the brainchild of St. Louis television pioneer Ted Koppler. His son Bob operates a restaurant peppered with Voltron decor.
Rachel, our manager, was insisting that we have a Voltron beer on tap. The only problem was Voltron beer did not exist.
So Bob decided to change that.
Voltron was this creation that came out of St. Louis. Four Hands is another St. Louis sort of legendary company. Wouldn't it be great to partner with Four Hands to make Voltron beer?
It's like my childhood dream coming true.
Kevin Lemp is Four Hands Brewing Company founder.
And as soon as it came across my desk, I just got giddy. Voltron is a massive part of my childhood.
Working with breweries from around the country, Four Hands will produce 6 different cans over the next 2 years. The 5 individual lions that make up Voltron.
And then for that final version, when all the lions come together, we'll do a big collaboration with everybody.
So just how popular are these collector's cans?
We released last Friday, ran out of stock Friday evening. People are excited about this. There's a lot of young Kevins out there, I guess.
Voltron, Defender of the Universe, Quencher of Thirst. Steve Harris, News 4.
All right, KMOV News, thank you. Holy crap, Kevin. What are you guys thinking? This is a crazy idea. This is so fun, so collaborative, nostalgic, artwork, beer, everything's coming to fruition. You heard a little bit here from the interview listener, catching you up on the collaboration, how it's going to work. Catch us up, Kevin. What's it been like since this interview? Nerd out about Voltron real quick and remind us, why is this collaboration so important to you?
Yeah, I mean, first I want to say thank you to Bob Koppler and the team at Adara.
Sure.
Right? I mean, without Bob, none of this would have happened. And thank you so much for thinking of us and our brand to partner with. I mean, this really is like, it's unreal. I mean, really just like, I was born in 78, 84 cartoon comes out. I mean, I remember walking downstairs, getting on the couch, putting in the VHS tape, hitting record while the cartoon was going on, geeking out during that whole episode, pressing pause or stop, and then I'd watch it like 3-4 more times during the weekend. I loved them. I just loved the cartoon as a kid. It's a huge part of my childhood. And, you know, when we were presented with this opportunity, we said, yeah, absolutely. Like, how do we do this? And how do we really do it just with a ton of passion behind it, right? I mean, so we're working with NBC Universal on this. It's a 2-year project. We made the decision. We love collaboration. We love keeping things fresh. So instead of just making one beer and having that live in the, you know, the life cycle for 24 months, let's work with really inspired breweries.
Sure. To
really try and, you know, tell a creative story around it. And so that's what we're doing. So we're working with 5 different breweries across the country. Narrow Gauge was the first one. Jeff and his team are awesome. We did the Yellow Lion with them. Hazy IPA. We used a thiolized yeast strain from Omega Yeast, who also has St. Louis connections. And then we used Mosaic, Citra, and Galaxy hops in this bad boy. A little over 7%, I believe, 7.5%. First batch sold out in days. Second batch is in tank right now.
It's going well.
It's going great.
And I mean, and everybody's coming out for you got your 80s babies, but now you got, new generation folks, collectors, and just beer enthusiasts of like a unique take on a beer style. And I love how you're partnering with folks like Narrow Gauge and then other breweries that you got in the works that are going to be doing the collaborations and recipes over the next couple years. Southern Grist Brewing, Hot Butcher for the World, Tripping Animals Brewing, that's a fun name, Wild Works Brewing. You're working with these folks to make the beers, but you'll be making them at Four Hands. That's right.
All beer will be made at Four Hands.
So lots of back and forth on the recipes, collaborative effort. Scotty Scoop, he's one of our resident hosts. I think he's about your age. He loved Voltron. He's got some questions for us, and part of it was actually about the collaboration beer of the beer itself. Said he knows the line of beers is a collaboration with other breweries. But what is that process like to decide on a flavor and a profile of the beer? How are you guys going to land on those for each line per se? And then, of course, Voltron.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, it is really collaborative, right? I mean, so we're working outside of Narrow Gauge. All the other breweries that we're working with are not based in St. Louis. So we're in that kind of collaborative process right now with Southern Grist. They're based in Nashville. We're looking at kind of a late August, early September launch on that. And, you set up an email, set up some phone calls, right? Talk through style. In Southern Grist, the original conversation was looking at kind of an over-fruited sour. And then as we were kind of looking at the timeline, we've kind of decided to maybe walk away from fruited sour, but kind of go into a more fun IPA with maybe some fruit, hazy yeast strain, really cool hops. Some of it is just based on seasonality. Also, some of it, we really want to lean on what these other breweries are really good at. I mean, they're great at making beer, obviously, right? But what are they really known for?
Yeah. Or maybe something they're wanting to try even.
I mean, that's everything about collaboration.
Right. Oh, I finally have a reason to try this new idea.
Try this new fruit.
Yes.
Right, or try this new technique.
Yeah, the blue line. You get like a nice blueberry or something.
Yeah. I mean, there will definitely be some thought behind that as well.
Hell yeah.
So then we'll have a cool event at Southern Grist in Nashville for that, right? And then we have Hot Butcher, the Q4 of this year, maybe bleeding the Q1 of next year. They're based in Chicago, right? Same exercise, release it at the brewery. We have distribution in Chicago, so we'll be pushing a bunch up there. We have distribution in Nashville. We'll be pushing a bunch up there.
Wow.
So it's just been, the project itself is amazing.
Yeah.
The opportunity to collaborate with all these beautiful breweries is icing on the cake.
Well, and also, here's the cherry on top. I mean, now you get to break into new markets.
Yeah.
You're growing that reach, which is already your goal anyway. And Voltron fans, I mean, that could be potentially worldwide. You got people that are gonna from every, essentially in every continent that could potentially have enjoyed this show at one time or another.
Yeah, we could ask Jeremy Danner for the stats, but I believe that we've had people reach out from 35, 37 states asking about this. In 6-7 countries.
Oh my gosh.
Asking for this.
I'm feeling extra special that you're here today now. Just so I know, we're getting almost the exclusive, maybe the calm before the storm even on this first Lion. Speaking of the Lions, speaking of Voltrons, yes, you Voltron fans, we're going to talk about the show. We'll come back to the beer, tell you how you get your hands on it. Some fun facts, some just regular facts also. The show's actual name, Voltron, Defender of the Universe, original show ran for 124 episodes from 1984 to 1985. As we've said, the show was produced by Peter Keefe and Ted Koplar through his St. Louis-based production company, World Events Production. What a crazy St. Louis tie. This is all of a sudden becomes local. Yeah, who knew? And, well, honestly, we knew because 2 years ago we had a good friend of ours on the show, Jeremy Correa. He's with Cool Fire Studios, does tons of great work here in the St. Louis area and beyond. He does a lot of production for BC TV, the Brown and Crouppen folks. We've had Ed Herman on our podcast here before. But he actually sat down with us and talked to us specifically about Voltron back in 2021, the production of the show. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to share a quick little clip. Me and you and Joy fans, listen up. Here's our interview with Jeremy Correa talking about working on Voltron with Bob Koplar.
But that's where Voltron came from in St. Louis was KPLR, Ted Koplar, my former boss, still in touch, still love the guy. he was looking for cheap programming and just, what can I strip? What can I get out? So inspired by shows like Robotech and Speed Racer, Battle of the Planets, aka G-Force, and this is kind of early anime, and the dollar to yen was at an area where he could get in there. And so Voltron, Defender of the Universe, which those of a certain age will remember very fondly, was originally supposed to be 3 different shows: Daltanius, Rugger, and I've already lost it, and Albagaz. So the deal is they played what is known as Vehicle Voltron, Rugger, first in a lot of markets, and it's a more cerebral show. It's definitely a lot more characters, and it just did okay. It was actually one of the first stereo shows, if not the first cartoon stereo show. So the legend would be you'd walk into Hi-Fi Faux Fum or some of these stores, and they would be playing it at 3:30 when it would go on. So they spared no expense in translating the show. But the real legend of Voltron comes from the wrong tape, and that was supposed to be a show, D'Artanius, that had a lion on its chest. So through translation errors on the phone, they sent them a show called Beast King Go Lion, which is the Voltron that we all know and remember and love. And, Ted Koppler, my former boss, and the producers like Peter Keefe, John Teichman, they saw this and they said, this show translates without even knowing you've got Red Lion turning into the arm of Voltron, all of them coming to form a mighty robot. Sentai shows had not really been done. So to 80s babies like me, seeing something like Voltron, that first 5 episodes, I'm not kidding, is my religion. I mean, the space explorers getting the keys, unlocking the different lions. It gives me chills to talk about. It was such a thrill to see all of this, and Voltron finally formed in, like the 4th episode. So fantastic world, a real amalgam of styles from medieval to high tech. Voltron himself is a representation of just global religions, from the cross to the Hindu dot. Such a fantastic Arthur legends are in there too. So it's a really fantastic, it's kind of the original remix show. And this thing blew up, Logan, and they couldn't even keep up with the demand for Voltron toys, Voltron merch. It was a huge accidental hit. So they found themselves having to do season 2, find the original animators who had all moved on, because this show under Toei, which Toei was just cranking out these robot shows post World War II, they used all the munition factories to make the tin robot collectibles. And they would just strip these shows out like nobody's business. And this is before a real appreciation, I'd say, for anime came along. So you look back at the show, and for fans who haven't seen it, I really encourage you to go back and watch Beast King Go Lion, because just like this Whistle Pig, it is, 50%. I mean, it is loaded. And it's Sesame Street, directed by Quentin Tarantino. It's insane. All the things like Sven, what happened to him? The show is so heavily edited looking back, because they had to take out some of this stuff. There's funeral scenes, there's decapitation. It is amazing. And I think the new series that was on Netflix, Legendary Defender, drew a lot from that. So it's kind of that 100 proof Voltron that I encourage you to check out sites like Crunchyroll. But Voltron always lived on, Logan, and that's how I got to be a part of it. It was fantastic. It was a dream come true.
That's Jeremy.
I love that. I love that backstory. I love that, just the detail and the amount of information there. I mean, you asked me questions about info on Voltron, I'm not gonna know, but I remember what it felt like laying on the couch watching the show. I mean, I can really put myself back in that family room, and just a massive part of the childhood.
What was it about the show that you loved?
It's a great question. And I think it was just the action, right? Like he said, the transforming of the characters, right? Like the 5 lions turning into one. I just remember it being a ton of fun. And I loved it.
From Scotty Scoop, our one of our hosts, he says, as a fellow child of the 80s, he also grew up watching Voltron like you guys. When was the last time you revisited the original series?
Yes, we just did. You
just did, obviously, with all this going on.
Yeah.
And how did it hold up?
I mean, it feels the same.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it feels the same. It's also just wild when you kind of look back at that original Voltron, and then you think about what that has inspired. Right? And there's a lot that has inspired.
Have you watched the reboot on Netflix?
I haven't.
All right, I have. I think it's pretty damn good. You
All
talk
right.
about the anime style. Jeremy mentioned Crunchyroll. That's like an anime channel. Not sure if you're familiar. Scotty Scoop very much is. And we've both started watching the show now. We've been texting while we're watching it. And, I mean, like Jeremy said, they bring in more of the drama, the relationships. And, I mean, I think there's like 8 or 9 seasons. So also, like, buckle up. They're like an hour-long episode.
Well, that's great.
I thought they were going to be like 20-minute hits. No, it's like you're sitting down to watch like Voltron leveled up.
Of course.
Of course, right? Okay, we talked about the show. We've highlighted Voltron, the show itself, and now it's on beer cans. I think the thing that people are asking themselves the most right now, Voltron fans, how do they get their hands on this? What's next for the press release tour? Where can they buy this? Where can they drink it?
Yeah. So again, we've got one more batch in tank of this first version, Volume 1. We'll have a little bit of that we're going to be holding for sale at the brewery. The rest of it will be going to the Chicago market, Wisconsin, Iowa, and then Tavour. Tavour is your greatest opportunity, right? Tavour is located on the Pacific Northwest. You can go online and order from them, and they'll deliver it to you.
Wow, delivery.
Yeah, so that's your biggest opportunity if you're outside any of those markets to be able to hopefully get it delivered to your doorstep.
And then talking about, giving some people, really, this is what the big nerds are thinking about. I'm telling you, because it's what I think about. The Voltron beer.
Yeah.
What is that gonna be like? Look like the collaboration from the recipe to the can? Scotty Scoop asks, is it gonna be a tall boy? What are you thinking?
We will be hyper creative with that last one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
special.
rules that we have to adhere to when working with somebody like NBC Universal.
Yeah.
And it's a long process.
How's that been?
It's been good. It's unlike anything that we've ever done before, though. Just the amount of due diligence and the approval steps, it takes a while. So that last collaboration is going to be something special, and I know that we're going to go above and beyond, not only from a liquid standpoint, from a collaboration standpoint, but also from an activation standpoint.
Okay.
So it will be different than a 16-ounce 4-pack.
It's got something, right?
It will.
It's going to be special, and you got time.
We have time.
And by the time you do 6 of these collaborations, you're going to be pros at that 7th part.
That's right.
And this leads into the final question, what's next? Besides Voltron, is there other IP that you're looking at? I mean, you're probably getting approached maybe at this point now. Scotty Scoop has some ideas. I'd love to ask what your ideas are first before I start rattling these off.
We worked with Ryan Helsley this year with Citywide, closing pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. City League is a nonprofit that he's super passionate about. We brought that into the Citywide program. So that was a really awesome collaboration. Ryan is just a great guy. We have a very interesting meeting next Tuesday, which I can't quite talk about yet, but we have something super cool in the works there. From I don't know, man, from big collaboration like this,
I know
we're focused on this right now to make sure that we're executing this really, really well.
Yeah, well, he would kill me if I didn't at least put him in your brain.
Yeah,
He-Man, Care Bears, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Silverhawks, Thundercats, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, get out.
Come
Love
on.
It. Love it.
I'm picturing I just got goosebumps. I'm picturing the Pepsi Star Wars cans.
Yeah.
But better.
Love it.
And beer. How about that?
Yep.
All right, Kevin, thanks so much for coming in, talking about Voltron. You can check out more at fourhandsbrewery.com. So excited to be getting some of these beers here in the studio. We are going to be giving some away at our upcoming event at the Screen and Social this Saturday at Alamo Draft House. We'll share it with you guys there. And Kevin will keep talking to you about these releases as they come out. If we can get you back in here or Zoom you in or I'll come down to the brewery. We're all locally,
Absolutely.
I want to be part of the action now.
Absolutely.
Now that I've got a taste.
Yeah.
I got some questions for you that are more big picture, if that's all right. I like to say, what you doing, when you ain't brewing? You're a family man.
Yeah.
You're spending a lot of time with your family. What do you and your family do whenever you're not working?
Yes. So, it's pretty much it's work and it's family.
Yeah.
Really, life's busy.
Yeah.
Right.
And work's part of that family time too.
Yeah, it is right now with Rowan at the brewery, which is a ton of fun. I love it. He comes to my office and eats lunch. I get to go downstairs and check in on him. I'm driving him right now to work and back.
That's nice.
By next week, he'll be driving himself.
Oh man, good luck.
Rowan is going to be a junior. Fisher's going into 7th grade. Sports take up a ton of time. Both of them play lacrosse. Rowan also runs cross country. Fisher plays soccer. I'm an assistant coach with Fisher soccer team. We love outside. We love being outside. We love being out in the river and fishing. We love being active. Lots of hikes, try and do as much travel as possible when time allows. But really, the weeks just get filled up.
Yeah.
Just filled up with family stuff. Family and work. That's really the crux right now. But we're trying to hang on to every single second because life moves fast. And pretty soon, Rowan's going to be off at college. So I'm milking every single minute with him. And before you know it, Fisher's going to be on that same path. So we're trying to take advantage of every day.
Wonderful. And we talked about this one before. We have a segment that we call
What You Watchin'.
And what you watch, and that's really what you're doing, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. It doesn't. We need to change the name of the segment. Honestly, it's evolved. I was gonna ask you any inspiring stories. We're storytellers on this show, and we feature stories and we tell our own. Any stories that you recommend people check out? Whether it's a true story you've heard on the news or read about, to a book you've enjoyed in recently or in the past. TV shows and movies are always up for grabs. Anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, we're always doing something, right? And I really try and take the strategy of really trying to find inspiration in everything. Whatever I'm doing, really trying to be inspired about my surroundings, the taste, the smell, like whatever I'm in, I'm really trying to be in it. But I was introduced to this book probably, a couple of years ago, this author, Andy Andrews. And the first book I read was called The Noticer. And it is all about just perception and your perception on life and just being comfortable with where you're at and who you are and making good decisions and not being overwhelmed. Just like be where your feet are, right? Like no reason to get freaked out if it hasn't happened yet, right? Like really just try and be comfortable with where you're at. And I got a ton out of the 3 books that I read from Andy. I'd recommend those.
Very nice. Sounds like it's a message about right now, which is like the most important thing because it's all we ever experience.
Right now. Nothing else really matters, actually.
And honestly, by the time you get here, someone like you, entrepreneurial spirit, hopefully by the time you get to right now, you think the work is done. I need to be here right now. Like This is a great example.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that spirit, what would you say to maybe a young person, entrepreneur, getting started, finding their way? There's all sorts of things you could give a person advice like that. What would you say to someone like that if you had a minute?
Yeah, I think trust yourself. But first learn everything that you need to know about what you're about to embark on before you fully jump off, right? There's a difference between doing something and doing something really well. And I think right now, no matter what you're looking at, everything is so competitive that make sure that you're doing everything that you need to ensure that you're successful, right? And successful doesn't mean like money, right? I say success means happiness, right? But you need to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to be successful. But I'm a firm believer of following your dreams.
Right. So you got to toe some lines, usually. You're usually one hand on 2 paths, living that dream, but a good plan has to happen.
You have to have a good plan, but be bullish. Go do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't hem and haw too much. Pick an idea, maybe, and
get into it and start. And then put your back behind it.
Kevin, Lemp, for Hands Brewing Company, I really appreciate you spending time with us today.
No, thanks for the invitation. I love it.
Absolutely. You got 4 Hands. You got 1220 Spirits, Withered Oak Spirits. You're opening 2 new locations, buffing up the LaSalle location. Voltron. Sky might just be the limit for Kevin Lemp. I'm a fan. You inspired me. You're going to inspire our listeners, and we hopefully will talk to you again one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Kevin. We'll see you later. Listeners, check us out at mostlysuperheroes.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Mostly Superheroes. Take it easy.